Hey everyone, and welcome to the channel. So today we get to take a look at the all-new 2025 Mazda CX-70. This is the plug-in hybrid. It's the Premium Plus. It's finished off in polymetal gray metallic. MSRP starts just over $50,000. Now this is powered by the 3.3 liter inline 6-cylinder turbocharged engine. It's paired to the hybrid system along with the 8-speed automatic, and combined it pumps out 280 horsepower, 332 pound-feet of torque. That power sent through the all-wheel drive system, propelling this 4,800-pound SUV from 0 to 60 in 6.5 seconds. It also has a fuel capacity of 18.5 gallons. You'll expect to see around 24 miles per gallon in the city, 28 out on the highway. This also has a total range of 26 miles on just the EV system alone. This also has a wheelbase of 122.8 inches. Its overall length is 200.8. It has a width of 78.5, a height of 68.2, and its ground clearance measures in just over 8 inches. Now for this all-new CX-70, this is very similar to the CX-90, which is a 3-row plug-in hybrid. But Mazda has decided to ditch the third row, so this is a 2-row SUV with a lot of the same features. So up front, you'll notice the massive Mazda logo, which is also the sensor. There's a forward-facing camera along with all the parking sensors, and then a lot of cutouts in that upper grille to provide cooling to the engine. Now you'll notice too, there's a really nice black chrome trim accent for the entire surround for the grille, and it also wraps around the DRLs and the turn signals. The headlights and high beams are a separate housing. Everything is LED for those, of course. And then there's also some more parking sensors and inlets in the lower section, and the very large one right in the middle, along with a brushed finish for that bumper. And then also a few lines that come down the hood to match nicely with that upper section just above the grille. Now this Premium Plus model is the middle trim level for the CX-70, so there's 2 below it and then 2 above it. But we really have some nice features for this middle trim level, including the wheels. This also has some plastic for the fender arches. It's in the lower section of that bumper, as well as the side skirts. And then there are power folding side mirrors, which have the camera and the turn signal. Full moonroof up top with roof racks, which are gloss black. Matches all of the black accents for the window trim as well. And if you have seen the CX-90, it has a very similar look, just a little bit shorter. Now in back, there's a gloss black spoiler with the third brake light, wiper blade in the lower section. There's LED taillights, backup camera with all the sensors, and then there's some more plastic in that lower section of the diffuser. Now as we work our way to the cargo space, you can use the button on the key fob or just up underneath. This has the power liftgate, which is nice to see. And then in back, with that second row up, there is a lot of storage. So you could almost have a third row in here, but if you don't need that, you have a lot more interior space. Now on this driver's side, there's a 3-prong outlet. You also have power for that. And then you can also fold down the back seats by pushing on those buttons. When you do that, that gives you a lot more interior storage, just depending on the items that you would like to have. You'll notice too that they're still retaining some storage bins on both sides. So maybe it's very identical than I thought to the CX-90. There's also power outlets on that one side too. And then there's also an area you can put a cover and have that attached. Now underneath the floor, there's quite a lot of space. So we currently have the charger on that side, which I have been using. And then you have some flip up trays here where you can place a few more items. So you really have a good bit of storage in the back there. And then up top, you can close the vehicle or you can lock it as well with both of those controls. Now, as we work our way to the back seating now, you'll notice there's gloss black on those door handles too, which is a nice touch. There's a really cool trim accent on this door panel along with the brushed aluminum. There's also the manual adjusting sunshades, so you can use those as needed. All the stitching, plenty of storage in the lower section there. And then take a look at the leather seats with the tan brown color there running through the middle along with all of the stitching as well. And then hopping into this at 5'10", I have a good bit of space. You can also slide these seats forwards and backwards, just depending on the items that you have. There's storage pockets behind both front seats. There's air vents, auxiliaries. These are even heated for the back row, and then all the climate adjustments are just underneath that. Now at my height, 5'10", I have a few inches above my head, but you can also recline these seats very nicely, so it just gives you that much more comfort while you are riding around town. Now right in the middle, there's the armrest along with 2 cup holders, and then you have a good bit of visibility, even with that pillar there. Very large windows to provide a lot of light, and then when that sunshade is open, that of course will give you some more light. Now the front door panel is just like the rear. There's the side mirror controls along with the folding control, all the window adjustments, and then some more storage. And then the power operated front seats with a same design as the back. And then we are greeted with a solid black steering wheel. There's some chrome accents on it, but let's start this up. You're not actually going to hear it. So it defaults, aside from that chime, it defaults to the EV mode. So you'll notice ready over on that left side. Now for the steering wheel controls, on the left side here, there's volume along with your Bluetooth controls. There's also an info button. So you can use that to scroll through some information on the far right side of that gauge cluster. So you can pull all of this up, just depending on what you would like to see. So it's nice to have those. And then on the right side, there's all of your cruise control settings, distance pacing, lane keeping assist. This is also equipped with paddle shifters, so you can use those as needed. And then for the rest of the gauge cluster, you'll notice on the left side, there's charge along with power. Miles per hour is right in the middle, and then you have fuel and your battery on that far right side as well. Now on the left side, there's the trunk release, memory seating adjustments. There's the fuel cap release, traction control, parking sensors, even the safety features that are available on this. You can mute them or have them talk to you and communicate, which is nice. There's some more leather along with that trim accent surrounding the air vent. This is also equipped with the heads-up display. Currently it's just showing miles per hour. Out on the road, it will actually show you your blind spot monitor indicator. So it will appear on the top of the mirror, but it will also show up on the head-up display, which is nice. And then for the massive infotainment system, you have quite a lot to go through. Now this is not a touchscreen system, so you can't use it that way. You have the controls down below where you can use all of these shortcuts. So if I push on home, you can get into all of this information here and then use that rotary dial to further go through this information. Now, from what I've heard on previous Mazda review videos, I think Apple CarPlay or Android Auto allows you to use it as a touchscreen system, or there's some settings you can go into that I just haven't figured out yet. It would be nice if the entire screen was a touchscreen system though for its size, but it's pretty easy to go through and get through all of that information. Now there's a very large hazard button underneath that, leather on the entire dash, and then there's an LCD screen down below for all of your climates. So those temperature controls are on both sides. You also have the heated steering wheel, heated and ventilated seats, and then the rest of the adjustments, including the rear control, so you can adjust that from up front, which is very nice. Now this also has wireless charging with an auxiliary. There's two cup holders that you can hide away with the really neat trim accent. And then there's also a few different driving modes. So you'll notice those will pop up in the gauge cluster, where there's sport, normal, EV, and off-road. Now what I haven't seen is a mode to actually charge the EV battery or to not use the EV battery. It seems to use it in all of the modes, which is interesting. It would be cool to see a separate mode to actually charge it. Behind that, you can use this button as a charge target, so just to show what you would like the vehicle to charge the battery to. And then if we slide that over, there's the backup camera. There's also a few different angles that you can go through here, just depending on what you'd like to see. When you put the vehicle into drive, now the forward-facing camera will appear, and you can use those as needed. Now there's also a downhill assist control, a shortcut to that camera system, so you can quickly pull that up. There's also the e-brake, auto hold, volume adjustments, along with your favorites and tuning. And then there's a split design for the center armrest, where there's a few auxiliaries you can use. Plenty of storage in the glove box as well. And then there's the rear view mirror with the garage door buttons, and then a sunglass holder up top, your dome lights, and then the controls for the power operating sunroof and sunshade as well. And then here's a look at visibility. It's pretty easy to see over both shoulders for the size of this SUV. So it's a new day. We are behind the wheel now for this CX-70. I went on a road trip over the weekend, so the last couple of days I've really racked up the miles on this all-new SUV, and there's a few things that I have found out compared to day one when I got this car. So let's talk about this being the plug-in hybrid. So we do have around the 26 miles or so of range that I mentioned earlier with just the EV system alone. Now what I have found driving this out on the highway, there's really no way for that EV system to charge. So unlike my BMW X5 hybrid, where you can actually put it in a battery saving mode, I haven't seen anything like that for this. So the battery is really going to charge better and more efficiently in stop and go traffic. So if you're driving this around the city, it's going to be a little bit more beneficial in using that system. I had this fully charged with the EV. Once it drained out on the highway, it really didn't charge at all. until I got to city driving, where I got up to around 15 miles on the EV system. So that's one thing that I think this is lacking, some kind of battery save mode where you can just hold the miles if you want to save them for a certain situation. Maybe if you're getting low on fuel, you can charge and hold that EV just in case you need it. So it would be nice to see something like that. Other than that, however, this has been a really smooth and comfortable SUV. For the 8 hours total that I put on this with just that trip alone, I haven't really had any complaints with it. It's very comfortable and smooth cruising out on the highway. The adaptive cruise, steering assist, all of that is very beneficial for situations like that. And it's just been nice and comfortable. There is so much space in this. We didn't have anyone in the back. We had some luggage in the cargo area, but it's very, very spacious for its size. Even though it's not the 3-row like the CX-90, there is still plenty of space for this. Seat is also very comfortable. Everything is pretty laid out. Everything is laid out very well. One thing I will say is I wish there was a little bit more of the touchscreen system just to make it a little bit easier. But the navigation works great using this rotary dial to put in addresses and things like that. So I don't really have any complaints. After the weekend driving this around, I still have about a quarter tank. This has been averaging 27 miles per gallon over the last, let's say 500 miles or so, roughly, that I've put on it. So not all that bad for this vehicle. So let's pop it into sport mode now and give it a mini acceleration. And honestly, not that bad. As I've been driving this the last several days, I haven't had any issues with the power. You'll notice too that the entire gauge cluster will change for sport mode, which is pretty neat, just to give you a few different gauge cluster settings with these different modes. Now I'm not sure if it'll go into EV right now since we don't have that EV charge, but the last one there is for off-road, and that will change again there. So it's nice that you have 4 different modes that are functional. Basically, it's just depending on the throttle response that you need, it will change, and then EV mode will strictly just go to the EV setting there. But this is what it's like to be behind the wheel for the all-new CX-70. Very identical to the CX-90, which we have been able to check out and review. And it's a nice vehicle. For about $50,000, I'd say it's kind of basic, but it has everything that you need. We have a lot of standard safety technology features, which is of course great. Large screen, everything that you can go through. So it's equipped with all of the basics that you would like. And then we have some additional creature comforts like the seats, steering wheel, things like that. So it's a really nice place to be. Very large head-up display as well, which just makes it nice to be able to view that. And it's been so comfortable. So I really don't have any complaints over the last week of driving this vehicle, aside from having more touchscreen features on that screen. It's very nice. We even have the paddle shifters too, which let's go ahead and test out. So we can downshift to, let's go to second gear here. Rev it out a little bit there as we get back up to speed. Pretty smooth and functional, so if you want to use them, they are there. You're probably not using these too often. And then if you hold on the right one, that's how you can get it back into drive. So just hold on this up paddle for a few seconds and it will go back into the normal drive setting there. Well, that's going to wrap it up for the 2025 Mazda CX-70, the plug-in hybrid. If you enjoyed today's video, give it a huge thumbs up. Consider smashing that subscribe button so you don't miss out on our daily uploads. I will see you all in the next video.